Good morning, friends. It's about 8 o'clock on Thursday, July 29th. Nope, July 30th, 2020. For the first time in about 2 weeks, it's comfortable at this hour, and it's partly cloudy, so the lighting is better. So I figured this would be a great time to catch you up on a video. Lots has changed since last time, so let's get right down to it. First of all, our first row here, these potatoes are dying back, not quite ready to be harvested, but soon enough. Over here, this is my Cinderella pumpkin, so I'm excited about that. And then way in there, you can see I have a big blue Hubbard that's coming. And just a couple of Cushaw squashes, which is kind of disappointing because they're my favorite. So I'm hoping that we'll get some more of them. There's still flowers in there. There's still plenty of time in the season. But let me see if I can find you a baby one right here. That is what a Cushaw squash looks like. And right next door is a baby Cinderella. So normally in the mornings, these plants look great, and then they get all droopy and saggy with the hot sun. So the hospital bed, the irises are doing good. I'm hoping they will bloom next year. The lilies have been blooming, so that was great. I was not expecting flowers from them this year. The perennial bed, I need to do some trimming back on the daisies, but not a priority. This bed has been harvested. This was the first bed of potatoes that I planted. The harvest was better than last year. It was not great. I got 25 pounds of potatoes, but they were not like big potatoes. They were mostly the size of new potatoes. So they will be great roasted and they won't go to waste, and some of them will be used as seed potatoes for next year. But potatoes is definitely something I need to work on. Okay. Now I'm viewing from the opposite side that I usually do. Usually I'm over there viewing, so you just get a little change of pace. Not much going on in this row except the kale. I've got some peppers. They look like jalapenos, but I'm hoping that they are not jalapenos. So we're gonna see. They got ravaged, much like all of the rest of my peppers everywhere in the garden, by the beetles. And I think I've got the beetle population under control. I use DE, I use neem oil, but now it's just a matter of waiting for the plants to bounce back. This row is an example of what not to do. I had Brussels sprouts and zinnia seedlings that needed to go in the ground, and stupid me put them in the ground even though we were due for heat. And so what we got was basically 2 weeks of 90-degree plus weather and no rain. And so I'm going to just have to start all over with this because very, very few of those seedlings made it. We've got zinnias and sunflowers in this row. A lot of the sunflowers have gone by. And of course they're all facing this way because of the sun. But many of them are multi-branched, and so there are babies that are coming. So it doesn't look great now, but they're staying because there's more to offer. Some of them, see, babies are coming. This one doesn't look like it has any other babies, so I don't know. We'll play it by ear as far as when to pull them. Got some zinnias here. I've been trying to keep them pretty picked so that will branch. You know, it'll cause them to branch out and I will get more blooms in the future. And then we come to the tomatoes. I have just started harvesting them You can see we've got some good size ones. I have noticed a couple of things. First of all, this first plant here, I have labeled as an Abe Lincoln, and I thought it was the only one that had survived my aphid infestation as seedlings. But now I've harvested several off of that branch. These are not Abe Lincoln tomatoes. Abe Lincoln tomatoes are all completely red, and these tomatoes, you can see the bottom will turn red, the top stays dark. So it is Cherokee Purple. It might be an 1884. It's some seed that I had grown, but it is not an Abe Lincoln. So that was kind of disappointing. But the tomatoes that they produce are great. So there's that. This one is a big boy, and I'm looking forward to having a sandwich with him. I'm sorry, Better Boy. This is also a Better Boy. This happened last year, so I should have known better. Black Krim is obviously not a Black Krim. So again, I do want to try growing Black Krim, but at least I know that it was not me last year. It was the seeds that I got that were obviously not Black Krim. So that means I have 3 plants here that I don't really know what they are. They're a small tomato, and I just don't like that size because they're not great for saucing. They're too big to eat in a mouthful. Anyway, my Black Siemens here, and this, I would say this might be, see that? It looks very similar to what I had labeled as Abe Lincoln, but I don't know. These plants in the garden, these 2 that I have here, are not doing nearly as well as the Black Seaman that I planted 2 weeks later up in the Horseshoe Pit garden. So that's interesting to me. Pink Brandywine, I think this is going to be all of the tomatoes that I get off of. I've got this plant and this plant right here. As you can see, just very susceptible to fungus diseases, very wispy plants, and it's been so hot here that all of the blossoms have dried up. So I suspect that I'm going to get a harvest of these. We're going to try them, and then I'm going to pull the plants out. Cherokee Purple are doing well. These are ripening, so you can see this is why I think that the Abe Lincoln is a Cherokee Purple, because the tomatoes look very similar. So those are doing well. I've been harvesting green beans. Can never have enough green beans. These cukes are not doing well, and you can see they're getting misshapen because of the lack of rain. I am out here watering every other day or so. They keep promising us rain and it doesn't happen, and so this is what happens. So the cukes have seen better days, but we've still got blossoms, and I'm hoping for rain soon. I've got a zucchini over there. I don't know if you can see it right there, that needs to be harvested. These are producing, but I'm not overrun with them. And I was expecting, for the number of zucchini plants that I planted, I was expecting to be overrun. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Now, this batch of tomatoes are the ones, if you remember, I've got the cages around. This was an afterthought. It was an experiment. I am not doing any pruning off of these plants except for yellow leaves at the bottom. And what I have noticed is actually, I came through yesterday and I did prune most of the leaves off the bottom that needed it. But as a whole, these plants seem to be a whole lot more healthy and vigorous than the ones that I'm not pruning. So I may change from the staking method to large cages and see what happens there. I'm noticing I've got some blossom end rot here. If you see that, that is, a lot of people will say that it's a calcium problem. More likely it's a irregular watering problem, which given this year, I can say with certainty is definitely the problem. More tomatoes here. I want to show you. I cannot wait for this one. Look at this, gorgeous. This is a Costoludo Genovese, and I can't wait to eat that one. So we've got a number of good size ones. Look at this one. There's three really good size ones. This is a Dr. Wychees, so I'm looking forward to that. These are early girls, so that would explain why they're so ripe. What do we have down here? This one, German Johnson. Again, look at. So these two plants have basically produced some tomatoes, and then again, all the blossoms are drying up. So German Johnson, everyone raves about. I am not sure that I will be growing them again next year. I've got more zucchinis here. They're coming, but they are not ripe. This monster is a volunteer tomato from last year. I think it's some kind of paste tomato, which is great. We'll see. More volunteer tomatoes. This is a volunteer. I can tell just by looking at it that it's a yellow pear. Oop. There you go. You can see the shape right there. I did not like the yellow pears last year because they split. I think I harvested one or two that wasn't split. But given the dryness of this year, I'm kind of excited that this volunteered because I might be able to actually get some that aren't split. We'll see. Again, cucumbers, seen better days. More tomatoes. We did have like a 5-minute heavy rain a couple weeks ago, and this is what it did to the green beans. But they are still producing, and I'm still harvesting. So they're doing good. These are strike beans. And I am going to have a tomato harvest today, I can tell. We are due for, well, I say that. We're always due for rain and it never comes. But they're saying 60%. So what I will do today is I will pick all of these tomatoes that are mostly ripe but not quite. Just because if we do get the rain, I don't want them to split. These Boston pickling cukes are doing great. They're producing well. Some more zinnias. I've got yellow squash down there that are not looking so great. The peppers, I don't know if you can see here, the cayenne are ripening. And you can see the beetle damage. But I'm also getting new growth, and that's good. So you can see there's flowers here. So it looks like the peppers are going to rebound, but I will not get the harvest that I would have gotten, I think, had the beetles not come in. Interesting to note, the beetles seem to love the basil plants except purple basil. I mean, you can see there are some chewed leaves, but they didn't decimate this as much as the rest. So I think I'm going to be growing purple basil in the garden as pest deterrent. And then I want to show you this because this one's coming along. There's my eggplant. There's another one growing right here. There are a couple babies on the other plants, so that's exciting. The peperoncinis are producing. They did not get as damaged as some of the other peppers did. So more tomatoes. See, this is an 1884. You can see how it has the green shoulders. So, but I'm really thinking the one I thought was an Abe Lincoln is a Cherokee Purple. This triple crop is supposed to be a great tomato as far as huge tomatoes, great yield. I'm not impressed. I have this one, and then it's missing a lot of leaves because you can see it's very susceptible to blight. And this plant over here has a few more tomatoes on it, but not big ones. And again, very susceptible to blight. So I don't think triple crop is going to make it on next year's list unless those tomatoes are really, really tasty. And then over in this row, this was where the garlic was. And we came in and replaced it with dragon tongue bush bean here, and then back there you can actually see a difference in the plants. Those plants have purple stems, and those are going to be some sort of purple bean, green bean. They grow purple. They're supposed to be easier to see to pick, and then they turn green when you cook them. So there we have it in a nutshell. More zinnias. I'm going to come through and pick those today so that they will branch out. I've got to harvest these tomatoes before the sun gets hot. This monster sunflower. So this is an 8-foot post that's pounded in the ground. So that sunflower has got to be almost 12 feet in the air. And again, you can, I don't know if you can see, but there's lots more blooms that will be coming. So in the immediate future, it looks like it's going to be tomatoes, tomatoes, and more tomatoes, which is great because I am down to my last jar of sauce from last year's harvest. So I think I timed that pretty well. All right, friends, hopefully next time something will be planted here in the potato bed. I'm going to rake off the leaves. I'm going to add some compost to the top, fix the bed and see what we can plant in there. And then hopefully we'll also have that row of potatoes harvested. So that's it. We'll talk to you next time. Pray for rain. Bye.